Madelyne Pryor celebrated her 40th anniversary this April in 2023, and I'm so glad she is finally once more getting her time in the spotlight, rightfully deserved. But what do we really know about her? Her history in the comics, her motivations, and more importantly, her powers and abilities. Welcome back, Nerd Squad, it's me, Amanda. Today we'll be counting down the top 10 secret powers you never knew Madelyne Pryor had. Who is your favorite X-Men villain? Let us know. Number 10. Resurrection. While not always influenced by Madelyne and her own abilities, Maddie not only has a powerful healing factor, but she seems to have found herself in a constant cycle of resurrection. Meaning that even when she seems to be dead and gone and we haven't seen her for honestly years, she's the kind of villain, and honestly not even just a villain now, also just as a character, that always comes back. Madelyne has been defeated multiple times and has returned since her initial introduction and defeat in Inferno more than 5 times over the course of her 40-year history. Now that is quite a lot of returns, and also quite a lot of disappearances, honestly. One thing is for sure, if Maddie is killed or seemingly permanently defeated or disposed of in some way, she always comes back. Eventually anyways. Might take a few years, but she'll be back. And friends, before I move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, be sure to show us you love us by clicking that subscribe button. Number 9. Phoenix Force. The Phoenix Force is literally a part of Madelyne Pryor. No, seriously, she wouldn't exist without it. While some might argue that Madelyne Pryor is a weaker version of Jean Grey, those folks likely don't understand her origin. At least her retcon origin. Not the origin Chris Claremont originally intended for her, but the one we got. Jean has been connected to the Phoenix Force before, being its host, but Maddie is literally made from a piece of the Phoenix, with a piece of it residing inside her. So she doesn't need to be a host of the Force to tap into its raw power and energy. The Phoenix Force is one of the most powerful forces in all of the known universe, and potentially even the multiverse over at Marvel, considering it has the ability to literally rewrite reality. Because Maddie was literally made from it, this also means its potential lives inside her as well. Maddie did not know her origin and initially lived appearing as a normal human. It wasn't until she learned the truth of her origin, her retconned origin admittedly, that she began to be able to tap into her true mutant and even cosmic power. Number 8. Psychic Link. Madelyne Pryor has the ability to link her mind to another being. We see her doing this during the initial Inferno event, and honestly, it's pretty scary. It is in doing this that she almost completely destroys and defeats Jean Grey during their fight against one another. I can't even imagine having my mind psychically linked to someone, especially not someone who looks identical to me and seemingly kind of stole my life. I mean, whichever way you want to look at that, either from Jean's perspective or Maddie's perspective, they could definitely both share that perspective when looking at the other of someone stealing someone's life. Initially, the two women shared a psychic link, one that Madelyne later exploits during Inferno in an attempt to kill Jean, although of course through harming herself. Madelyne's plan at that point is to basically take her own life, thereby destroying Jean through their link, thereby taking Jean down along with her. If I'm going down, you're coming with me, and I'll go down if it means I can defeat you. Number 7. Lives on in Jean. I think one of the most wild powers that Maddie has in the comics that we tend to overlook is her influence over Jean. Now, following the events of Inferno, Madelyne's personality and memories basically lived on in Jean Grey. Jean was forced to take both Maddie's psyche and the Phoenix Force within herself in order to survive Maddie's psychic attack on her soul. This actually gives Madelyne some power through Jean though. It's actually through Madelyne's influence that Jean and the X-Men decided to fatally attack Mr. Sinister, seemingly destroying him permanently after Inferno. Although of course in reality he would return, because that's comics for you. Normally such use of lethal force would not be the X-Men or Jean's way, but it was Maddie's influence that actually prompted them to act as such. While it's not a power that Maddie can easily control or flex necessarily, it's still pretty impressive to think that technically Sinister initially being permanently defeated was in good part because of Maddie's influence on and manipulation of the hero's psyches. Number 6. Take your memories. At one point, Madelyne Pryor attempts to take all of Jean's memories, and even threatens to do so. During the Dark Web event, she actually worked with Chasm, the current evil persona of Ben Reilly, who had worked on a device that would forcefully take someone's memories from them. Ben was doing this to basically get the memories that he lost back during the Beyond event, aiming to get them back from Peter Parker's Spider-Man, since Ben's early memories were initially copied from Peter's mind when Ben was created. Without them, there was a big hole in his mind and his personality, a chasm, if you will. Huh? Get it? Teaming up with Ben, Maddie sought to retrieve memories of raising her baby, who would eventually grow up through time to become Cable, from Jean. She felt that she was basically robbed of these memories after she was defeated in the initial Inferno event, with Jean taking over her role as baby Cable's mom. However, in the end, Maddie didn't have to forcibly take Jean's memories at all, as instead Jean chose to willingly share them with Madelyne, having never wanted to fight her in the first place. However, it was still a power that Madelyne has, and she could have used it, but she didn't. Number 5. Control over demons. Madelyne Pryor isn't just known as Madelyne Pryor. In the comics, she also has another name, the Goblin Queen. In fact, when I was recently cosplaying Maddie at SDCC this year, most people referred to me by that name. They call me the Goblin Queen. Most people knew me either as Jean's evil clone or just the Goblin Queen. Maddie earned this name after she made a pact with the demon of Limbo, thereby becoming their queen. Although she may have felt pretty in her power at that time, in reality she was still kinda just being manipulated by them somewhat. Still, Maddie did hold some sway over the goblins and demons of Limbo, considering that she was their ally and their partner. And you know, Goblin Queen. But like I said, how much power did she have at that time? I don't think she had a ton, really. Number 4. Her secret name. The really wild thing with Madelyne Pryor that still amazes me is her secret name. I'm not talking about her title as the Black Queen or even the Goblin Queen. I'm talking more about the fact that no one really seems to know just how to spell her name. I constantly run into this on the internet, and while it might not seem like a power to some, in the DC universe and other different magically based worlds, it would likely be considered an asset. It would be considered a power because it would protect you. Madelyne's name is spelled Madelyne with Pryor as Pryor. The fact that so many struggle to spell it or even know it would be seen as an asset in many other magical worlds where there is considered to be power in knowing and having someone's name. Like over at DC Comics, this is why some magic users have actually used alternative names. That way they can keep their real ones a secret, so that way demons can't like get their names and like control them or manipulate them. Constantine initially even tried to do this with Hellblazer, but he became too well known and famous and decided to give up his codename as a kind of take that statement to the magic community as a whole. So that's where that name comes from. Number 3. Leave you speechless. As I said earlier, Madelyne Pryor isn't just a powerful psychic, she was also crafted from a piece of the Phoenix Force by Mr. Sinister, putting her on the same level, if not above, potentially, someone like Jean Grey. Still, even then, I was pretty shocked when she reappeared in Hellions and used her powers to make Havoc's mouth literally disappear. This could be perceived as an illusion, an illusory power, but the way it was gruesomely portrayed makes me think it was more of like Maddie manipulating and rewriting reality to literally erase Havoc's mouth from his face, which she either did through, you know, maybe Phoenix connections or just through magic. A la Scarlet Witch with Black Bolt in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Pretty spooky stuff. Number 2. Rules over Limbo. Recently, in the New Mutants comic, Madelyne Pryor once more became the Goblin Queen. But this time, more literally the Goblin Queen. She actually took over ruling Limbo from Magic, and what's even more wild is she didn't seek to conquer Limbo, she didn't take it by force. Instead, Magic decided to give over rulership to Madelyne. Magic had her own reasons, largely to get some distance from something that was literally attached to and represented her childhood trauma, while Madelyne obviously had much to gain from the change in power, chiefly a whole kingdom. However, unlike last time when Madelyne wanted to use the power of Limbo for ill, she was revealed to have actually genuinely turned over a new leaf, it seemed, wanting to keep the demons of Limbo in check. At least, that's how it seemed initially. Her designs ended up being somewhat reimagined, shall we say, for the Dark Web event, as she was more depicted as a villain there who used Limbo's resources and populace to once more invade New York City. But we'll get to that in a second. I mean, that all got resolved now. It's kind of a weird thing though, where they were like, she's good. Just kidding, she's evil again. Just kidding, she's good again. You're like, what's happening here? What are we doing with this character? Number 1. Master Diplomat? Madelyne Pryor is perhaps working towards becoming a master diplomat and leader. At the end of the Dark Web event, with Maddie once more being reformed and even becoming an ally of the X-Men during the event, fighting alongside them and even getting to call on them to assemble, so nice, she decides to open up her own embassy for Limbo, stationing it in New York City. Maddie does this to bring the darkness into the light, believing the spirits of Limbo have been hidden away for far too long. Seeing seeing them as representing her own darkness and basically saying like, we try to like hide our darkness and suppress it and like put it away, but you know what, in order to heal we need to bring it out into the light. She intends to make sure that the beings of Limbo are no longer rejected and in fact are seen and accepted by the world above, and in this case now around them. Which I kinda love, honestly. I think that's beautiful. That's about it. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.